Hey all, Chris Bassett here, and I'm playing a little GTA Online. I'll be showing you how to max out your stats the easiest way possible. Even some of them are AFK. Let's get into it. If you didn't know, when you hold down on the D-pad, it'll show your character's stats. These represent your character's attributes, with 7 of them being visible in this menu and an 8th hidden one as well. Stamina, shooting, strength, stealth, flying, driving, lung capacity, mental state, and maximum health. Generally speaking, you'll max out all the important stats just by playing the game. However, if you'd like to build up your stats while AFK or otherwise preoccupied, let me show you what I like to do. First, take an item and tie it around the joysticks. I'm using a shoelace, but a hair tie or rubber band would also work. This keeps your character moving in a small circle so you don't get kicked for inactivity. In vehicles like cars or helicopters, you need to depress the R2 trigger to accelerate the vehicle. So in order to keep it held down, I'm tying a shoelace in an orientation to secure the trigger, but you could also use a piece of tape or something heavy. The last button you may need to keep depressed is the A button. And I have a trigger set up on the back because of my Elite controller, so I can just tie a shoelace around that trigger to hold down the A button, which I have programmed on my back paddle. If you don't have a controller with back paddles, you can use a long cylindrical item like a broom, pool cue, or a rake to depress the button. Just position the controller in a way that allows you to put the bottom of the handle against the button and then prop it up against something. In this example, I'm using the broom on the table and then it's leaning against the window. That way it's pressing the button down. With those examples out of the way, let's talk about how I use them in game. Let's talk about how to build stamina AFK first. Sprinting, riding a bike, swimming, all these activities add to your stamina bar. So an easy way to AFK build your stamina would be to swim out into the ocean, tie the shoelace around your joysticks, and depress the A button. That way you'll swim in little circles. More than likely you'll max this out playing the game, but hey, the option's there. Next, let's talk about maxing out the shooting stat. I'd go to any ammunition with a gun range on the map. I'll choose this one over here by Simeon's. And with this method, you don't need to worry about spending money on bullets or dying in a gunfight. Just head into the ammunition and go to the back room. There'll be an activity called shooting range for 1 to 2 people. Go ahead and start up this activity, cycle all the way down to where it says heavy weapons, and choose the minigun. Shoot the orange targets until you're bored. Now this isn't completely AFK, but you could watch TV or do something else in the background while you're swinging the gun back and forth side to side. However, by far, the fastest way to level up your shooting skill is to shoot NPCs or other players in the head. Even with headshots, I was still over at level 100 before I maxed out this skill. The next stat on the list is strength. The higher your strength stat, the more physical damage you can do with your fists. This is probably the stat you won't max out through normal gameplay, so you'll have to actively pursue leveling it up. By far, the easiest method is to punch NPCs in the head. So go ahead and go to Jobs, go to Play Job, go to Rockstar Created, and then you want to look for a mission called Peer Pressure. So go to Missions, it's sorted alphabetically, so find the P for Peer, and launch that mission. In that mission, you can go down to Del Perro Pier, and you won't have the problem of cops getting called on you, wanted stars and such. So go down here and punch NPCs to your heart's content. I think it took me about 2 hours to max out my strength stat. You could also try golf, tennis, or arm wrestling, but those activities require 2 people, and you can do this solo. The next stat is stealth, and through normal gameplay, you probably won't level this up. So a real easy way to AFK this is to just go to a giant open area. I like the airport. Depress the L3 or the left joystick to enter stealth mode, and then tie the shoelace around the joysticks to walk in little circles. It'll look something like this, then you can go away and do something else. I did this while I was eating dinner, taking a shower, and my stealth maxed out after about 2 hours. Next on the list is your flying stat. Even after I was level 100, I still hadn't maxed out flying. So flying is important because it allows you to maintain control of the aircraft. You'll experience less shakes and wobbles while you're flying. Normally you'd acquire this stat through regular gameplay. You get extra bonus points for flying large aircraft or for takeoffs and landings. You can also boost this stat by completing the flight school found by the airport. It's a little plane icon on the map. Just medal in all the challenges, and you should at least get 2 bars of flight ability. My preferred method is to grab a helicopter. Once again, the airport's a good location, and then there's another location here. Or you can call in a helicopter, but then you just want to gain some altitude, and once you're high enough in the air, you want to tie the joysticks together and then depress the R2 trigger. Now, it does take a really long time. I think you only gain 1% flight bar for like every 10 minutes you fly. So this is going to take a really long time depending on how much flight skill you still need to gain. Even at level 100, I still was only at like 4 bars. So I AFK'd this, I want to say like 6 hours before I maxed out my flight skill. Back on the ground, the next skill is your driving skill. This one you'll definitely level up while playing the game. This was the first skill I maxed out. I believe I hit this at like rank 40 or something, so it was super easy. However, I drive a motorcycle against traffic all the time, and it leveled up really quick. The AFK method is the same as the helicopter, just tie the joysticks together and depress the R2 trigger. However, you want a vehicle that's slow and crappy. If it's too fast and too powerful, you'll lose control, spin out, and that's not what you want. You want to go AFK and drive in small little circles, so you're going to want something like a golf cart. The next stat is lung capacity, and this is one that you'll probably have to actually go after to max out, but there is an easy AFK way to do it. You want to grab yourself a scuba suit, which can be found either at a clothing store for around $150,000, or if you own a Kasatka submarine, there's an icon on the minimap that looks like a pair of goggles. So just pick yourself up a suit and then make it a outfit in your saved outfits. You can now dive underwater, get to a location that's fairly deep, and then just tie your joysticks together to make a little circle so you won't get kicked for inactivity, and just sit down here while you go do something else. I did this while I was eating dinner for several nights in a row and had maxed out lung capacity, which I will never use. So the final 2 stats I'm just going to talk about for a minute. You have your mental state, which increases the more damage you do to NPCs, vehicles, and other players. You don't want a high mental state because then it puts you on the minimap as a threat. You're more a lucrative bounty for other players to hunt, and it lets other players know that you're probably not fun to play around as you may be griefing or causing extra problems. And the final hidden stat is your maximum health. For every 20 levels you gain 1 maximum health bar. So at level 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. I wish I had a capture of this, but when you hit one of those designated levels, you'll see a little indicator flash in the bottom left-hand corner that says max health, and then the corresponding number. Hey, check out some other videos over here. If you like the video, help me make some more. Use the links in the description. I really appreciate it. Any other questions or comments, put below. Thanks.